What's up, everybody? Hope you all are doing well today. I want to go over your rubric for your final project real quick. Talk a little bit about what the expectations are for this, as well as show you all the resources that you need to have. So I will note first and foremost on your As You Learn, you've got your crisis plan example and your crisis rubric under final project. So that's where you can solve that. There is a chapter in Fern Banks that I'll bring into as well. That will be a resource for you. I will make sure to let you know that this is a substantial part of your grade. So we're looking at 30 points overall out of the 100. So don't miss this. But there is a lot to fill in. I will mention that while this is a longer project, one, I wanted to make sure that y'all had it in week 2 right off the bat so that you can go ahead and get started on it. But two, also remember that a lot of this is going to be fact gaining information so that the writing is very what we would call descriptive. So it's not until the back half where a lot of your ingenuity and resources are going to need to be taken into consideration with what should be put into this crisis plan. So this is due August 2nd. I'm not accepting late work for this only because I'm actually giving you an extra day that is past the final day of class. So you've got a little bit more time than you would normally have, but I want to make sure that I have time to grade it. The planning of it, your 2 ideas will be due on July 15th. That's Friday. And it is under client selection. I might put another forum up, but this is the one I will want you to pay attention to, is 2 proposed clients for the final project that you would like to do a crisis plan for. So they can be national, regional, or local. They can be for-profit or nonprofit. They can be government or NGO. You can work for them. You don't have to. If it's a company that you're really interested in, that's totally fine too. So make sure to provide 2 and list them in the rank order that you would like to do them. So just let me know on that. But that is going to be what is due on Friday. Please make sure to do that this week, as that is going to be very important to the success of this class. So, like I said, that is going to be the planning of it. And you can see that a lot of these is you can choose local or national. I didn't write that there, but that's it. Anything that you would say either has a crisis plan or needs one here. And I'm going to go over some of these real briefly to talk about what the expectations are. And you can see on some of these, for instance, that there will be a lot of things that might be similar here, but I do want to talk a little bit as we go. So first and foremost, you can see cover page and introduction. This is ultimately what is the topic of your crisis plan. So for instance, the example that I put up there is through University Housing and talking about suicide prevention services. So they go into detail of what that might look like. And so it's a good model to look off of, not only what could be possible problems for university housing, but specifically in this case, suicide prevention. This could be not only for the organization, but also like RAs and RDs. What would they have to, what would they need to do if a student were to express suicidal thoughts or tendencies in order to be able to help in such a way that would prevent such a thing. You will notice on a couple of things. So like, for instance, like acknowledgements, crisis teams, these are the 2 that I really focus on. You might have a small business that may not have a crisis team, in which case the acknowledgement might be you saying that I'm signing off on this as we'll say crisis liaison, to make sure that this is going up for the actual, like an actual company about what they should do, and what crisis you're focusing on within that company. The crisis team might not also be a crisis team. You might have 5 employees total at your local business. I've had this happen before with students that have completed projects like this, and that's totally fine. Just basically people who are in charge might be beneficial to help within a crisis team. So you can see here, Again, with acknowledgments, or excuse me, with introduction, with purpose of objectives, make sure that you are communicating clear who the client is, what the project is going to be, what that crisis is going to be. Others, you're going to note things like key publics and notifying publics. And these are probably people that may be employees, but they also may be not. If there is any group of people that are very much part of this organization that would be affected by a crisis, you should list who those are and know how to contact them immediately in this case. So if you have a larger organization, you might have somebody that is a liaison to talk with those people. So making sure that you have that with public. So you can see this kind of is lumped together as well. Other ones you would want to look at are people that are not within the organization that you would want to communicate to. So right here, 9, 10, and 11 are very much all part of that. Emergency personnel and local officials. Is there anybody on hand that is there to resolve crises? So local police, fire, other related organizations, list of key media. Like I said, we might have people that are the Watauga Democrat, or we might have somebody that works in Avery County, or anything for Appalachian State that would be able to get this word out quickly, and making sure that you have their contact information quickly. Spokesperson for related organizations. So if this is a natural disaster, there might be other people that are affected. So for instance, for the Bear road race, and I put this a link up on As You Learn, just absolute tragedy that occurred. Other people are affected, not just from the race perspective, because there are people that run the race. There are the Highland Games that are involved. So there's a lot going on here that you need to think about, that who else is affected that may need to be talked to as well. And again, if this is the betterment for a community, being able to work with each other is probably within the same common goal. There are other things in terms of having things on hand and knowing where things are. So these are two are kind of lumped together. Control center, this might be just where your place is, where you work. But in other words, where is something that you can resolve this problem here? And physical directions may be a good thing as well. So being quick, being on hand is a good thing. Equipment and supplies. I had a group of students that did Coyote Kitchen, for instance. And one of the things they did really well is they talked about the cutting boards and knives for dietary restrictions, that made sure they had to have on hand to resolve and mitigate a crisis before it would potentially happen. So, if you had a food allergy or something, you would not have this issue. Last thing you see it. This is kind of where a lot of your ingenuity is going to be coming into play here. So we can look at things like pre-gathered information. So any news releases that you want to fill in, I would recommend having one kind of as my friend used to call it what do you call those things? A mock thank you card, where you kind of fill in the blanks a little bit quickly, and being able to get something out there so that if nothing else, something is written ahead of time. I will provide AP resources for what a boilerplate is, for instance. If you don't know what that is, don't stress it too much. Key messages, make sure to have a couple of tweets ready to go. So 5 short 280 character messages that will explain exactly what the crisis is and what you are doing to resolve it. So key messages is big, to get that out there immediately so that news sources don't have time to be able to create a narrative that is not yours. On your website, 2 paragraphs about the organization for more detailed information. Typically, when a crisis occurs, you want to have some kind of message at the beginning, like even before your about you or mission statement, that would be able to tell what are some of the resources that you would need for this crisis here. Other things, having blogs and social media. This is obviously places that you would need to look for resources. For instance, if I were to look at the Bear, for instance, Avery County Roads is a great Facebook page that may be able to give some information quickly and effectively to know what might be going on that you may not be here, because you might not be on site when it occurs. So that's where blogs and social media. So making sure that you monitor them. So 10 to 20 websites. So it's, like I said, a lot of this is going to be researching here. Trick questions. For chapter 4, I will post up online, but within Fern Bakes, one thing they talk about a lot is what trick questions are. And it's basically media reports to get you to say something that you may or may not want to say. So actually having practice for this can be a big difference maker in making sure you don't say something you would want to regret. So that's going to be very careful. Prodromes. And I won't go into real big detail what a prodrome is. Suffice it to say, you're just looking at something. They're disease prevention techniques. So in other words, what are some strategies? Listing 5 possible strategies for what we could do to prevent something from it happening in the first place. Anything in terms of other related URLs, so other resources that might help, and a brief description of your website. Those would be very helpful to be able to look at. And then an evaluation form is basically how your plan would work and why does it work. So I know I ran over that really quickly, but please let me know if you have any questions. A lot of these for a 15-page paper can be shared on several pages, particularly if your company is small. I don't have an issue whatsoever if you decide to do a national client, but it may be something that you will want to kind of think to yourself about. What is your end goal within crisis communication that you think is going to be very helpful? So that is it for today. Let me know if you have any questions about that, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.